Welcome back to the season finale of Picking and Streaming Television. It's your commish and your co-commish in the house. Say what's up to the people, co-commish.
What's up? Number one in the standings, number one in your hearts.
Allegedly, because I see we have some shenanigans to review here. The Birds of War AP poll, the final one for the year. What a year it's been. Ups and downs in our first set of teams going for the 101. New developments, but something that we can always count on is the Birds of War AP poll, which has now been tampered with. Co-commish is out here.
I wonder by who.
This has been modified due to co-commish. So I think you left your signature at the crime. So ours are a little bit similar. Only major differences here, and full transparency, we already did our rankings before the Birds of War poll came out. And I wanted us to be the ones who are really high on Jay Moley, but he beat us to the punch with the
man knows ball. What can I say?
Man knows ball. I mean, I guess he has a bye for a reason or whatever. But yeah, that's the main thing. I think we're both lower on Nish, which we'll get into in some matchups and some of these other details coming up. Co-commish, before we move on to matchups and pick'ems and kind of really getting into the nitty gritty of the playoffs, can you go over some of the key trades that have happened since our last show?
Yeah, I guess we haven't talked about Chili's late push for a potential playoff bid by picking up Trey McBride. He was really tight and needy after the Tucker Kraft injury. He ended up picking up Trey McBride from Super Smash Bros. And he ended up giving up 2 firsts and a third for that.
Yep.
I'll move on to the next one. Jay Molly ended up making a trade with Little Chubb recently after he found out he's in the playoffs confirmed. And he ended up getting George Pickens and Terry McLaurin for 3/3, as I joked on our chat. But Little Chubb ended up picking up Woody Marks, an up-and-coming potentially RB1 for the Texans moving forward. Blake Corum, it's looking like he's going to make more of a push for more playing time. Recently, not sure if that's related to Kyron Williams' injury. And then I believe it was a second, but it wasn't Jay Moley's second. It was, I think... whose second was it? I think Travis's second, if I remember correctly.
I'll get it for you.
Yeah. If it was, that's why I made the joke about the 3/3. Did you want to get into the other ones?
It was Travis's second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're correct. I see why you're asking if I want to do the next one.
Just kind of explain what happened with his madness as it went down. I think this was in overtime, if I remember correctly.
Dude, I don't know, to be honest with you. So here's the way it went down.
You're blinded.
I have been looking at Saquon, I don't know, since like week 7. Like I just was thinking to myself, that playoff schedule looks great then. It still looks great now. At least to me. And this is actually something I meant to ask you and I never got to ask you, so I'll ask you on air in front of everybody. Are you still watching like any fantasy football shows right now, like the Ballers or
fantasy footballers, and Saquon is definitely one of those pieces that it's I guess other areas they're like, hey, he's not doing so hot, but that playoff schedule doesn't look too bad at all.
Okay, I was curious about that too, because for like fully transparent, I think I've seen 15 minutes of footballers this year and 0 minutes of fantasy pros. I have not been watching. And I was trying to do like my own like method just to see if like I could, have something to stand on, something that I think like I don't want to only do what everybody says, because I feel like I lose that way sometimes. And Saquon was one I identified, and I was like, I hope that playoff schedule is as good as I think it is. Like this would be a week I would love to know, like, do people like it? So I might tune in. All that's to say,
I mean, Commanders, Buffalo Commanders, like
right. So rambling aside about like why I wanted Saquon And then as far as the way the trade went down, I'd looked at him all day and I was like, I don't need another running back, but like I'm gonna feel so.
I straight up was like, this man is you can only start so many running backs.
I'm gonna start 4. That I can promise.
Dude, you're gonna tilt on which running back. This is my only issue with this trade for you, is the amount of tilting that's gonna be fucking happening in the background. I honestly, if we vlogged, would love to watch this vlog just to see what's gonna be going on with your running back selection.
He's going in because I traded for him. So there's no going back now.
Dude, all that to just bench him, damn. Against the Raiders. That was the only one. I think it's like you can run on the Raiders, but it's just you just never know.
It's easier to pass, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that one, and we'll get into that too. But I stared at it and I was like, fuck it. Like I'm gonna feel dumb if Saquon is on Chili's team going off for 20 a week. And I knew it was going to happen. Like I would just kick myself over it. So then in the third quarter, in the third quarter, near the end of the third quarter, I sent Chili the offer and I turned my phone off and I went to sleep. and I was like, I don't care whether or not this gets accepted, but I have to at least send an offer, because if I don't send one, and like I said, he goes off, I'm going to feel bad. And then I wake up and felt like a dream. I didn't know if I was awake or not. I was like, oh, okay, I have Saquon now. So I guess we'll figure that out. So the price, I started at a first. We didn't go back and forth at all. Like I said, I just sent the first, and I was like, it at least makes some sense to me. Like, Saquon will be 29 next year, going into the final year of his contract. I could see, making good on some value like right away. So I was like, I'm not gonna play with him. I'll just send the first. If he wants it, cool. If he doesn't, that's all right. And in one quarter, he decided, fuck it, let's do it. I don't know how late he stayed up, but I like I said, I went to sleep. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to stay awake wondering if the trade got done. And lastly, that GOAT Super Mario Bros. Alec Pierce deal for 2/3. I was in on that Alec Pierce thing too. Not at that price. I actually told him, I was like, you can't get that. And then he immediately gets it. I was like, oh, all right.
This was prior to the Daniel Jones news, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Which was a good move at the time for sure.
Let me see if I can read the DMs. Let me see if they're not buried. I offered a 4th. He's like, nah, Pierce is probably worth like a 2nd. And I was like, too rich for my blood. He's like, okay, well, what about 2/3? I was like, nah, I'm looking at what I could get for him if I tried to resell him, and I can't get that.
Immediately, yeah.
So good on him. Well, we'll see now with Daniel Jones out if that ends up being an issue. I'll do rolling 3 on this next slide. So just playoff primer, guys. What we got here, we've got whatever your last 3 games were, your average score and that differential in your matchup for the playoffs. So and before we even get started, in the bottom right corner, you can see the playoff bracket. So keep that in mind as we go over these things. Josh actually has been outscoring me on average, well, not on average, but by a total of 5 in these last rolling 3 matchups for him. GOAT has been outscoring Nish the last 3 weeks by 8 points. So pretty close. Like, obviously these are all good teams in the playoffs. There's some room there to say that like Nish's team is struggling right now. That's one that's interesting to watch. Because if we compare those scores to the median, while both GOAT and Nish fall below the median, obviously Nish is 1 below the median and 2 below GOAT below the median. So so one to watch. The team's struggling. He's had some injuries to keep in mind too. Like Rome is really hard to play without, for example. And then could you briefly look at those efficiency numbers for us?
Yeah, as far as efficiency, notable ones, the number 1 in the league is Cool Kid with 86%.
Yeah.
A Rojas 81, Go 85. That's an interesting note right there.
Yeah.
His efficiency score is fairly good. I don't know if it depends on he's just doesn't have much of a bench. Maybe I know I don't have much of a bench either, so that kind of makes sense. Interesting to note is Jay Moley with 77% and Nish with 78%. I will say maybe with Nish, I've noticed that he's been doing a lot of starting players,
like streaming,
streaming. Using the auto draft feature, I guess is what
okay.
I'm not sure if this is taking that into account. Maybe that's why Nish's is a little bit low, and then Travis is at 83% as far as efficiency of points for scored, and then what your potential max could have been.
Yeah, I think when I look at the efficiency numbers, what comes to mind to me is just like, one, all the numbers are going to be a little unfavorable because we have such big benches is one thing. So they'll look a little bit low, you know. But and what's highlighted green is GOAT is managing his team, regardless of who is or isn't playing, at the kind of clip that we see the teams who in the bye weeks are able to hit, because you guys are obviously doing the best job of managing your teams. So just another point in his cap. And you know, we did the first backseat boy on GOAT's team, and we were like, sell because of the roster, but he was able to make that roster work. It's enough to get into the playoffs. So
yeah,
up to him. Some historical bracketology for you guys, right? So we went back, we looked at all the prior leagues, and we're just like, is there a trend at all with like where you're seated and what your end result ultimately might be? And we just want to point out a couple of things, right? So 50% of champions actually come from the number 1 seed. And Cool Kid's there again, so he's off to a good start. The 5th seed, interestingly enough, has produced one of the 3 champions at a 33% rate and has won in round 1 66% of the time. So when we're looking at Jay Moley being ranked 5th, like me, and then 3rd seed has a 66% win rate as well in round 1, which does fly a little bit in the face of like what we're like concerned with about Nish. But history says Nish is going to pull it out. And the 6th seed, while they don't win a ton in round 1, has been able to produce one of the champions we've seen in this league's history, which was auto drafting Fugly. Shout out to him. And then round 1 matchups and pick'ems. Cool Kid, and you speak for yourself and on behalf of Travis. What are you doing to keep your team from being complacent with your
you got to draft experienced QB. I know I've added to the chat. You just need that experience in that locker room, you know? Like,
did one of you acquire Phillip Rivers? Was that one of you guys? Oh, it sure was. Is Phillip Rivers part of what you were trying to focus on?
Exactly. One of those final pieces to add to the locker room.
Okay, so Travis did not go out and acquire Phillip Rivers, and he did not re-pick up Tom Brady. I'm going to be watching upset potential in his matchup when he comes back. He seems to be complacent right now.
He did pick up Flournoy, right? Or Flonase.
Flonase, yeah.
Right, a young up-and-coming wide receiver, maybe one to watch as the playoffs roll along. So just a call out there.
If CD's not playing, that's an interesting one. The guys who didn't make the playoffs, obviously we haven't talked about you guys a ton right now in the playoff show. What I will say to you is be careful of all the draft fluff pieces that are going to come out between now and the draft. Crush your instincts, digest what you can, and only keep what makes sense to you, because they're going to come out with some stuff. Y'all are going to be
it's rough.
Everything. Like, there's going to be so many videos for you guys to look at your upcoming draft.
I'm curious to see what, and this has already been spoken on the chat, what Super Mario Bros. Does with all those draft picks. It'll also be interesting because I think someone pointed out that they might have an excess amount of pieces, right? So seems like some of those fourth and third round picks might have to be dropped immediately, or yeah. So
Yeah, to full transparency, to talk back to that Alec Pierce trade, the reason I even went after him for, fourth, I was like, dude, you're gonna have to cut somebody. Like, I could see you cutting Alec Pierce, sell him to me for a fourth because he's gonna be useless to you soon enough. And obviously there's differences in the player evaluation, right? But yeah, so that's something I've identified before, and Travis brought it to the chat, and he said the same thing, because it is true. They have more picks than they can roster players. So curious if they want to trade up somewhere, or if they're going to try to make a bid to get some players. We have now. I'm going to have Yuko Kamish talk about this first matchup and just some of the things you're looking out for. I've got some notes down there, so feel free to touch on some of those, or if you got different ones you want to touch on, and then I'll also tag team in. And this is on the J. Molly A. Rojas matchup.
Yes, sir. So what we're looking at is up and coming J. Molly. I think this is his first time in playoffs in over 20 years.
Gotta
Since
be
19.
Yeah, well, 20 years, right?
Yeah,
20 years ago, then it was definitely like 1994.
Yeah, something like that. I think this is his first time in soil. Hopefully he knows what to do in these moves. But so far, notable injuries are T. Higgins for J. Molly and Daniel Jones, who is pretty much out, and that would have impacted Pittman. I don't think he has any, and Warren. Yeah. So those will be interesting to monitor. On your side, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. down. Lamar Jackson is on the come up, but I'm not sure he's still injured.
Yeah. So the thing I'll speak to the Lamar piece. The reason I wanted to like highlight that one to watch out for is, and this is the same thing with Daniel Jones, is it trickles down when it's your quarterback who's hurt. Because I normally would be confident starting like Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, but while Lamar's injured and playing injured, it really caps those ceilings. So that's what I'm worried about. Like, even though I've got Stafford bailing me out as far as the quarterback goes, I don't have a lot of options at receiver. So if Zay isn't going to hit for me, that's where I might be in trouble.
Yeah, and then Pickens could be going off, assuming he plays, right? I think a questionable tag hit him, but with no CD, Cowboys still in the playoff race. This is a must-win for them. So we'll see what that means for Pickens. And then finally, Barkley, as you mentioned, you just picked him up. He has been doing well as of late. He is picking up steam in terms of like fantasy production. But again, they are playing the Raiders, and they are going to be a tough defense as well. We have you winning. I love your matchups with Christian McCaffrey with Bucky Irving. He's on the up and up. T-Mac, with resurgence in that QB play is nice. And then I just think your depth is what's going to help you out here versus J. Molly right now.
And then what I have a couple of notes there still that I want to also hit on. Interested if you guys like stuff like that too, right? But like, Minnesota employs a lot of middle field open coverage when they're like just in their alignment. So normally that would favor somebody in the slot or somebody who's in line, like a CD who plays in the slot, like a Ferg will be kind of center field instead of out to the sidelines. So that would normally favor CD, but if he's not going to play, I wonder, and I haven't seen it how it's happened yet, right? So I'm going to be watching it too. Like, does Dallas move Pickens around to like play some in the slot, or is he going to stay out wide and is Flournoy going to go like inside outside because he doesn't get the same separation at the line of scrimmage that Pickens does? So you wonder if they want to keep him a little off the line so that he can get a head start in those release packages. So that's something I'm interested in. And then with Barkley, I mean, the the Philly offensive plan is to run the ball until Barkley hits chunk plays so that they can set up the pass, right? That's what they want to do. They haven't been able to do it because they've been getting one injured across the line, and then two when they start to actually try to throw the ball, right? Like lately, Hurts has been turning it over. So you just haven't seen it happen a ton lately. And Las Vegas in particular is bottom 10 against in the league at allowing yards to the receiver. So this favors Devontae Smith. This favors AJ Brown. You wonder if this is a get right game for them, and that means bad things for me and Barkley. And then on to GOAT and Niche Like Fish. So key injuries there. Roma Dunze, we hit on that one earlier. It's hard to not have him there, and he deploys everywhere. So he's matchup proof. So when he's healthy, he's a good guy to have. Daniel Jones, sure. GOAT's not playing him, but that Pierce was somebody he was going to be counting on for his playoff run. And literally, I think the last play Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers had as a professional was a Hail Mary throw that had no shot getting all the way down there. Like, he's got no juice in that arm anymore. And who gets all the deep targets is Alec Pierce. So if you're not going to be able to go vertical to Alec Pierce, does he just not get involved? Because Pittman and Downs are going to be the ones deployed closer to the line of scrimmage. So, like, could we see a 0 out of Alec Pierce? I would hate that, but how do you trust Phillip Rivers? Christian Watson against Denver. Watson has been explosive lately, but Denver is number 1 in sacks and quarterback hits, and I think they're still top 10 in like overall pressure. No, top 10, like top 5 in pressure rate as well. Like, they just get to the quarterback. So the question is Love going to be able to get the ball out? 1, fast enough to just not get hit, and then 2, against Denver, are you going to be able to let Christian Watson develop deep down the field to hit those deep shots? I mean, they'll still employ him on some stuff, more in the short intermediate game once in a while, but I just don't know if that's going to cap his effectiveness. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is a matchup I'm looking at against the Rams, because while that defense is great, they do allow the top 4. They're one of the teams that allows the most targets in the slot at a top 5 rated league, and he's going to play there. So, it might be a bad day for the Lions in general, but could St. Brown get his too? And all of those variables have us leaning, and even back to how's the team been performing recently with the rolling 3, back to how's the team hitting their efficiency rating, have us leaning GOAT. Any other words from your end, Kokamish, on this matchup?
No, I just think it'll be a low-scoring affair. It's going to be a little bit ugly, I think.
I think so.
But it'll be interesting who can get that little bit of points to make it past the first round of playoffs.
And that has been your postseason primer. And this will be it for picking and streaming this season, guys. We've had a lot of fun recording. I think we have more shows this year than we did last year. I think
definitely.
We've been trying to get back in here and get you guys videos. If you've seen anything you liked this year that you want us to keep doing, if there's things in the years past that we did that maybe we don't do anymore you'd like to see, let us know. Just while it's fresh in your mind, if you guys have anything to reflect on. Actually, there'll be a survey coming out not too far from now, and I'll make sure I put something about picking and streaming TV in the survey as well. But yeah, just hopefully you guys have some feedback for us. And Kokamish, any last words signing off for this year?
Just like, subscribe, follow. Appreciate the donations on the jerseys. Can never have too much.
Not plural. Not plural.
But I hope y'all enjoyed our content, really.
All right. Well, that's been it for your commish and your co-commish. We're out. Peace.